Okay, so we are live with the Node.js release working group meeting on the 30th of January 2020. And to start, we will be working from the issue in the agenda, which is in issue 527 of the Node.js release repo. And first, I'll just ask if there's any announcements anyone would like to make. Nope. So the first item on the agenda is the V12.15.0 release proposal. So I'll go ahead and open that up. Also check that we haven't got any new joiners just yet. Nope. So the release has been prepared. I saw Miles has added a few more commits to it last night. And I guess the main thing to call out on this release is that it's actually been delayed due to the February 2020 security releases that have been announced, and they should be being released around next Tuesday, so February 4th. I'm kind of volunteered to prepare those, so that's why the 12.15.0 release has been delayed. That does give us some more time to review the Semver miners. And last meeting, Ruben actually kind of broke down the list of new miners into just PRs rather than looking at all the individual commits. So this is the list of minor commits that will be going into the next 12 release. And so CLI add trace exit option, the whitelist new V8 flag, and the trace on court flag. So they're all, I assume they're all additive flags, so it looks good to me. Anyone else have any thoughts around those CLI flags being added? Do they look good? Sounds like there's no objections. And then we've upgraded libuv to 1.13.1.34. Events allow monitoring error events. So I'll go ahead and open this one, because I'm not actually sure what this one is. Change the number. Just because I'm too lazy to type. This PR allows to install a listener to monitor errors. So it says a side effect of this one, so just as a reference, I'll just go down and check that it's not caused any notable bugs anywhere. No. It was released 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we've had no complaints. Okay. Looks good. No concerns. So this is just promoting an API to public. This one I'm not familiar with, so I'll go ahead and take another look. Check we've got no additional participants. Nope. Okay, so this has been in the, looks like this has been available since the start of 13, so we would have seen some errors or issues by now, I suspect. And it looks very additive, so no concerns. And last one, add more predefined color codes. So that doesn't seem like it's gonna trip anyone up. So this release, I think it was rescheduled for the following week, so the 11th. But if everyone else wants to take a look at the PR, and give it an approval, feel free.
I think there was some CIs kicked off yesterday and they're failing to compile. So there's one of the commits that was brought into this proposal needs to be fixed up for 12 because it sort of depends on another commit, which was then a major. Well, not directly, but there was a header file that was added to one of the other header files. So it's missing in 12. So that's why there's a compilation failure.
Oh yeah, there was like 5 commits also added yesterday. So I guess we need to wait on a new green CI. I think Miles is probably going to address that because I think you.
Yeah, so I put the details at the end of the PR.
Okay. Sure, thanks, Richard. And that's a good kind of FYI as well. Anyone that's trying to run a CI on 12 staging at the moment, it's probably going to be red. Okay. Take a look at that. Is there anything else anyone wants to mention about this release? Are we happy? Other than these errors to be fixed. Nope. Next item on the agenda was the defining a word for all current releases. So, did I reference this in the PR? I might not have done. I'll just go straight to it. So I had a work in progress PR to add our release phases. I think we've had a few issues raised over the past year or so, saying it's not entirely clear what each of the release phases means in terms of what will go into them. So I just tried to add a short paragraph into our README to say current should incorporate most of the non-major breaking changes, or non-major or non-breaking changes, that land on master. Active LTS can contain new features, bug fixes, and updates that have been ordered by the LTS team and have been determined to be appropriate and stable for the release line. And then maintenance was, in general, it's critical bug fixes and security updates only, and add the exception where new features may be added at the discretion of the LTS team. I don't think we have this information written anywhere else, but I believe there is some work to do on our README, because I think someone mentioned we had a lot of process docs in the release README, like steps to follow that should be potentially migrated over to releases MD.
Yeah, that was me. I mean, that for example, with the diff and the
yeah,
all that is pretty much probably should be in core under the release process.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for that to be there because the rest of the steps. So we've added the steps for major releases already to the releases MD. So adding this, I think, makes sense. And the LTS staging branches, potentially. Is everything? I think there was another bit someone referenced. Oh, okay. We have some information here about once a release moves into maintenance. So I think I need to extract some of the information here into the separate section to make sure we're only calling this out once. What each of the modes or release phases are. What I could do is I can raise an issue on the release repo to move those items out into releases MD and maybe give it a label of good first issue, because that's probably something for release that someone could dip in and help out with. I know we had quite a few people interested in getting involved in future, so I might do that.
Sounds good.
That was everything on the agenda today, so I'll open up our recent issues just to go through. So the issue opened by Miles was to change the description to Node release working group, Node.js release working group, rather than have foundation in its name. Policy for running CR releases. This came up last meeting, I think it was Miles' suggestion that we should write some words around how, when running a release, it's kind of the releaser's call on when they're happy with the CI. For example, if there was a known test failure in a job that was clearly an infrastructure issue or something like that, and we're confident that the release hasn't broken it, then we're good to just go ahead and promote, just to have that exception documented somewhere, and make sure we all agree on that exception. And last thing, actually, I mentioned Node.js release mentoring / streaming. So I have added to the schedule the Node.js calendar, the sessions. I think it was last Tuesday I did kick it off, but I think there was just one attendee. So I think I'll try it again next Tuesday. If we don't have attendees, maybe cancel it and set up doodle polls to maybe do like ad hoc mentoring rather than a scheduled, because it doesn't look like the schedule is working just yet. But I'll still try and progress this. And one other thing to mention, over in, is it Node Core Utils? We have a PR to help land backport PRs that's being worked on. So if anyone had interest in that, please take a look and add your thoughts. This came from, I think in one of the last releases, I missed off PR URL because I'd labeled it backport PR URL instead. And so this would actually automate the landing of the inserting of the backport PR URL metadata. It's being actively worked on at the moment. So if anyone wanted to review or take a look or add their thoughts in here, it was just a small idea to automate something to make our life that little bit easier. Cool. Okay. Is there anything else anyone wants to mention today, or anything else anyone wants to use the time for? I guess I'll quickly double check how we are for release lines. So we're covered all the way up until March. I think there may have been a comment on here. Okay, so we're good for 13, 12. Shelley, you're due to do the release after the minor, so the next patch release for 12.
Yes.
I don't know. I think that date, because Michael's release got delayed quite a lot. Does that leave enough time in between?
Great question. I mean, I'd be fine to delay it by a week or so, or do whatever you all think is best.
Yeah, I guess at the moment it's due to the RC is due before the previous one gets released. So I guess maybe bumping this to have the RC on the 18th and then release a week later on the 25th.
Sure. I can change that on there, or we can just kind of change that now, I guess.
Does that work with your schedule?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, so go ahead and change that, and then that works out for the next one as well. It's kind of same timing of the month, so that looks good. And 10. So we have a 10.19 release free for anyone to pick up. It got bumped from January because of the upcoming security releases. This will be the last 7th minor of Node 10. So giving ourselves some more time to prepare it probably makes sense. It's something that I could potentially pick up, but I won't commit to that until after we've got the security releases out and I can see how much time I've got. if anyone else can volunteer for that one, that'd be great. I'll probably put a ping on this issue afterwards. Okay. Looks good. So was there anything else anyone wanted to mention today? No? Okay. I'll leave it there. Thanks for joining everyone, and speak to you all later.
Thank you.